It started out with the dream of my father-in-law, Mr. R.K. Sinha.
Okay.
He believed that kids should eat clean. So we started the Goshala back then. We started organic farming back then. So my children actually taught me the patience which I could use with
Mm.
my farmers and my law sevaks, because many times it was difficult for us to kind of understand each other. And I talk to them today and I feel so proud because they are like, पहले हमारा husband हमको पैसा नहीं देता था, but आज हम अपनी बेटी को पढ़ा सकते हैं. You need to really read your labels. You need to really understand what is the brand history, what are the founders like. You need that I am building something with a lot of integrity. And I am doing something that I promised myself years ago, that I will, some way or the other, empower women at whatever level I am capable of empowering. So today's success is a combination of all these three things for me.
Hi, Pallavi, and welcome to the About Her Show, a show where we get trailblazing women to share the story of their lives with us. To tell us about their challenges, successes, failures, all that they have faced along the way, so that not only do they get a platform to showcase themselves, but they also help us inspire other women. Women who are listening in have dreams, ambitions, but something is holding them back. They're not able to follow those dreams. And then, along with women, we also get men on the show. Men who champion such trailblazing women because we believe that for a truly gender inclusive world, men and women need to be allies in this journey. Now, ever since I got to know about you and the kind of work that you do, I was intrigued. I was curious. I wanted to know what made you do or start doing what you are doing. You see, a lot of people are conscious about the food that we eat, what goes on into our plate, what goes inside us. But how many of us actually do something about it other than just cribbing? Or maybe looking for options in terms of different vendors, different places to source what we want. But to actually get down to it and start doing something about it the way you are doing, that I think requires courage, requires conviction. And, you just have to have the grit to be able to start doing it and then continuing to do it. So, we definitely need to know more about your journey, how you started with all this. So, once again, a very warm welcome to you.
Hi, Sangeeta. Thank you so much. I'm honestly honored to be on your platform today. Just to give you a little bit of brief about myself, this started out not as my dream solely.
Mhm.
It started out with the dream of my father-in-law, Mr. R.K. Sinha.
Okay.
It was him who was not keeping too well. And then he started using real food, not just medicine, but real food, organic food to cure himself. And
Okay.
it really worked with him. So, and then, I had my babies, and it was him and I who together then decided that I think, you know, feeding children clean food, nutritious food will give them a healthy future.
Yeah.
And that is when Adya Organics started. We
Wonderful.
started this out actually in 2001 back in Dehradun with just about 8 cows and 25 students in a school called Indian Public School,
Okay.
because because our chairman, founder, and my father-in-law, he believed that kids should eat clean. So we started the Goshala back then. We started organic farming back then. That is how far back we go.
Wonderful.
But Adya Organics kind of came out commercially. I mean, commercially is a wrong term that I'm using, but we came out and started selling in the market in 2018.
Okay. Okay. So it's
It
been a
was
long.
mostly, it's been 7 years, yes. This is our eighth year round, yes.
All right. All right. So thank you for that backstory because I think it's always good to know how a particular brand started and who was the person who was behind it. So tell
Yes.
me, you now describe yourself first as an honest farmer before a managing director. So, what does that identity mean to you, especially in a world that often glorifies scale over sincerity?
When I say that I'm an honest farmer,
Mm.
I mean, there is complete transparency in everything that we do.
Okay.
When I say that we are using particular heirloom seeds or indigenous seeds for products, we are genuinely using that.
Okay.
We do not have any middlemen like a lot of our other brands usually have middlemen who are like procuring from uh, other many are procuring from a lot of farmers as well, which we do now too.
Mm.
But we are honest because we have uh, no commercial margins attached to our pricing. We
Okay.
have no how do I say it? um, I work with my people on the field
Okay.
before we actually kind of come to the corporate office and start selling. So I know the hard work that actually goes into producing any product.
Mm.
So, managing director is a very corporatish term.
Yes,
It
yes.
was just, yeah, so it just something that you just, label a designation.
Correct.
But we work with our farmers. My father-in-law and I both, we get our hands dirty.
Mm.
We are sowing, we sometimes are helping them harvest. I wouldn't say all the time, can't take away the credit from everyone working with us,
Yeah, yeah.
but we get our hands dirty. We know exactly what we are putting in. So
Yes.
by being honest, I mean, we are just transparent and we are ourselves involved on ground level, not just top level.
Okay. That's wonderful because you see, talking is very easy and a lot of people can do the talking. But to actually get your hands dirty, as you said, is not something which everyone would want to do or even do. So yeah, kudos to you for doing that. And so that really makes you an honest farmer. Okay.
Yes.
So as you said, just before this, that your journey began as a mother's concern for her children's food. So, can you take us back to that moment when concern turned into conviction and eventually into Adya Organics?
So I would say this started out in 2016 when my son was about a year old.
Hmm.
And we were already making ghee and we were already having, I mean, a strange fact that we were started getting milk all the way from Dehradun to Delhi
Uh-huh.
for ourselves and the family. It
Hmm.
was so crucial for us to actually have clean food, clean dairy for the children.
Hmm.
So 2016, I remember when my son kind of had a bit of a issue with the dairy because he was a year old, and I started giving him milk.
Okay.
We were not able to get milk for a few days from Dehradun, from our own farm. I
Hmm.
fed him this milk from a goshala here, which we thought to be quite clean and, no chemicals, no oxytocin.
Hmm.
And he fell terribly sick.
Oh my God. Okay.
And that is when Papa said, Ki, I have been telling you this is something we should do at a larger scale. We should actually think of creating a healthier future, and we should start at home
Okay. Okay.
because it really got him unwell. It really got my father-in-law, Papa, very stressed. So
Hmm.
then he formulated this, and even by the time we were in 2018 May, we were able to really get the name we wanted and get the products that we wanted to come in with and start this. But
Oh,
it took us that much time also to understand, should we be out and about with everything under the table or just what we produce? And we decided to start our brand with just 4 SKUs.
okay.
Everything that is grown at our farms was then introduced as products to the market.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
wonderful again, like, to put into practice what you think is wrong, to, in the sense, what you think should be done. I think, like I said earlier, it needs a lot of courage and, self belief, conviction as well. So tell me, as a mother of three, how has
Yeah.
motherhood shaped the way you lead, make decisions, and define success both at home and at work?
Oh, that's a good question there.
Thank you.
So, a mother of an 18-year-old, my oldest is 18.
Mhm.
She has taught me. she's actually taught me how to be a mother, right? Your first child always teaches
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
how to be a parent. They have taught me together how to be patient, which has helped me a lot
Yes.
on the work field.
Hmm.
Because I haven't always interacted with the farmers and gossipers till the time I actually got married, came in, and start. So it was a little difficult for me to even converse with them, coming from a boarding school, having that kind of environment all the time. So my children actually taught me the patience which I could use with
Hmm.
my farmers and my gossipers, because many times it was difficult for us to kind of understand each other.
Hmm.
There was also sometimes a little bit of a, and I'm going to be really honest here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So children teach us to be patient.
Yes.
And I'll really be very honest here. I have had, a language barrier with all my farmers, all the kisans and all the gossipers. There was always, since I studied in a boarding school, so it was a very different upbringing I kind of had.
Hmm.
So my children taught me the patience which I could use with those people,
Right.
and then could understand what they wanted, and I could patiently explain what I wanted in return. So it helped me develop a good relationship with my team. They are my team. Now
Right.
I have a much larger team at the office, which is very different, but those guys are my team. They are the roots which actually help us, which have actually, they're the foundation for our company.
Correct.
So I think I would give the credit of the foundation development to my children, because
Wonderful.
without their help and guidance, so I call it, I tell them it's a joke between my kids and I,
Hmm.
that if you guys hadn't helped me become this, mama would have never managed making Adya Organics what it is today.
Yeah.
So yes,
So
that.
you're right. Children do teach us various things, and of course, the first child, of course, teaches you how to be a parent. But then I think every child brings something, adds something to our personality, because they see us in a different way. And so they just help us pick up things and learn things that we were not aware of earlier.
So every child sees a different parent. I
Yes.
totally agree in that,
Yes.
agree to that statement. Yeah. So
We
all
are
my kids have
different
seen it.
people at different stages. Right.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So you were talking about the fact that you went to a boarding school and all of that. So going back to your childhood. So tell me, growing up, what were your earliest memories of food, farming, or the women in your life who quietly influenced the path you would later choose?
So the biggest impact a woman in my life has been made by my mother.
Ah, okay.
I'm born in a place called Rishikesh,
Mm-hmm.
uh, you know, and studied there for almost 12 years of my life, when my mother put her foot down and she wanted me to have a better education.
Okay.
We rigorously studied and did a lot of things. I tried for Vellum twice,
Hmm.
and I got in the second year.
Okay.
So I would really like to, thank her. I'm grateful. She's made the hugest difference in my life. I am Pallavi today because of her.
Yes. Yes.
And so the food in school was not that great.
Yeah.
So, like all hostel food is, but some of the food, but one thing we knew was it was nutritious.
Okay. Mhm.
You know, I remember athletes, since I'm an athlete, so athletes were given proper nutrition before they went in for any events, for their practices, for all of that. That was maintained.
Okay.
Our mess in charge, Mrs. Juneja, I still remember her name. So I would also like to thank her. She also had a huge impact in my life, because she would make sure that our meal on the plate
Hmm.
is nutritious.
Okay.
It's full of nutrition.
Hmm.
Farming, as a child, I had not, to be honest, not seen so much.
Hmm.
We only saw whatever experience we got in school. Sometimes they'd show you, take you to farms, as what we do nowadays as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
just for a school trip. And so I'd never had a close interaction with farming. I had that when I got married.
Hmm. Hmm.
When I got married in 2004, that is when, because of Papa, I had my first interaction of how farming actually works. I learned it all from him, because he really loves he has this he that time he had a very small nursery where he would plant his pots and his seeds and bring out. I remember at that time we hadn't even heard of avocados,
Ah,
and
yeah.
all I see Papa growing an avocado tree back in Dehradun in his nursery.
Oh,
So my first interaction of and close interaction with farming was with him after I got married in 2004.
okay.
Yeah. So more than a woman in farming, I think it was a man who really, really guided me and got me on this interesting field of farming. So the credit goes to a man here, not a woman.
All right. So, to a woman, to a mother, to helping you become who you are today, your development of your personality, but then, say, as far as choosing the career path or the path of your life is concerned, definitely your father in law. All right.
Yes.
So, in today's world, which is very, very commercialized and everything really boils down to money and profit and all of that. So, organic and traditional farming isn't the easiest route, both commercially and operationally. So, tell me, as a woman entrepreneur, what resistance or doubts did you face early on and how did you push through them?
So you've rightly said that organic farming is not economical.
Yeah.
Operationally and otherwise,
Hmm.
it has taken us a lot of effort to bring it to where it is now. And currently, also, it's not the easiest
Yeah.
because you don't get as much produce as you do using all the pesticides and all the chemicals.
Hmm.
Early on in my time, I remember that first resistance was from the ground level, my kisans.
Hmm.
They said, "Madam, को पता नहीं है कुछ, वो क्या हमको बताएंगी?" Now
Hmm.
I understand. I was only talking what I've read in books and what I've seen, or what I'm learning from YouTube and things like that. But then we made sure that I got my trainings with a few uh, stars of this field like Mr. Akash Chaurasya and things like that. I learned with Deepak Narbade. These are few, I would call them my mentors as well. They
Hmm.
taught me how to do organic farming. That was my resistance, but we kind of managed to surpass that
Hmm.
with the continuous interaction with them and asking them also to teach me
Hmm.
दैट आप मुझे बताओ कि हम अगर इसमें नहीं डालेंगे ये वाला खाद जो आप पैकेट वाला खाद डाल रहे हैं इसमें गोबर खाद डालेंगे सो व्हाट विल बी द इफेक्ट ऑफ इट
Okay.
I had to honestly like take them back and remind them that back in your grandparents' days,
Hmm.
this is what your grandparents were doing. They were not farming with pesticides and they were not farming with chemicals. They
Hmm.
were using gomutra, they were using, cow dung, and they were making their own khad
Hmm. Hmm.
and then putting it in the soil, and we were getting clean food. And
Hmm.
that is, one of my guys, his name is Krishna.
Hmm.
His grandfather was alive till this 2 years ago.
Okay.
Very, very old. I think he was 97, 98.
Hmm.
For a very long time, he didn't agree to this story of mine. मैम आप ऐसे बोलते हो देखिए ना इतने में लगाया 1 एकड़ में लगाया है इसमें अगर हम ये डालते तो इससे we would get at least double the produce but आपने नहीं करने दिया and all of that. I gave him an example a few months ago. I told him कि भैया आप ही के दादाजी 97 years तक रहे क्यों?
Hmm.
मैम वो तो एकदम साफ खाना खाते थे ना हम लोगों के घर के पीछे में एक छोटा सा बाग है उसी में उगाते थे he used to then I said यही तो मैं आपको बोलती आई हूँ लोकल और सीजनल प्रोड्यूस करिए
Hmm.
और सही अपना गोबर खाद गौमूत्र इन सब से अपना खाद बनाइए
Hmm.
और लोगों को भी सही खाना पहुंचाइए ताकि सब हेल्दी रहे
Right.
and he understood that because he was facing health issues himself because he decided not to follow this the same route as his grandfather and father but
Hmm.
then he understood and now he diligently whenever we get new guys new trainees he's like नहीं हम लोग उसमें ऐसे नहीं ऐसे खाद बनाकर ये डालेंगे इसमें ऐसे डालें so real life lessons taught these guys and fortunately they also helped them to understand me better
Right.
and help me be being a woman and leading a team of large men can always become a bit of a challenge, and especially when they're not so educated.
Yes.
So lots of battles here and there, but fortunately, lots of love and compassion and togetherness helped me move away from that thing कि ये तो एक lady हैं जो हमारे सर पर आके बैठ गई हैं. Now
Correct.
they do not think like that.
See, the thing is that, yes, as a woman, you will initially face these kind of roadblocks because, all this, the mindset that is prevalent in our society everywhere. So it takes
Yeah.
men a little while to come around to the fact that, a woman is leading them. But if, like you said, you are able to relate to them, if you can understand them, and I think women bring a lot of empathy with them, understanding, compassion. So if you use these soft traits, I think, and you're convinced about what you're doing and you stay at it, there is no way that,
Yes.
you won't be able to do what you wanted to do. So I think, yes, that's what you have proved, that yes, there were hurdles, there were roadblocks, but with your ability to be empathetic, to be compassionate, to be understanding, you managed to, surpass them. So tell me, when we look at and read about Adya Organics, we understand that it integrates traditional Vedic practices across farming and production. So tell
Yes.
me, why was it important for you to preserve this wisdom, and how did you balance tradition with today's expectations?
So, honestly speaking, I don't know what today's expectation is. We are still trying to wrap our head around what everybody expects today.
Mm.
But why it was important for us to stay with our tradition was simple. It starts from your roots. Good health, seeing our grandparents eating healthy, eating clean, everything was produced using traditional methods. There was no machinery, no high RPM to, get maximum out of an oil seed.
Mm.
You know, now you hear cold press, wood pressed. We use Koluka bell.
Mm.
Why now? I'll just give you a little backstory to that also. Why we use our own bulls is because we don't come from the thought process of putting our bulls either at butcher houses, selling them, or like just leaving them in the jungles or on the roads. You see a lot of them.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
use them,
Mm.
and we use them well. And it's not like we are torturing them. We are actually feeding them very well. They get their massages.
Wow.
They're treated like people who are actually working. They are, because they are helping us uh, produce food which
Yeah.
is clean, which is used a same cooling method as a cold press machine.
Mm.
It's the same nutrition that you'll get in both. But
Okay.
we use our bulls also. We use a traditional method because back in our grandparents' days, this is what was used. You
Right.
hear a lot of Bilona method.
Mm-hmm.
For me, why it was so important, though I know that you get lesser, makhan out of it many a times, and it's better to use electricity than, women or men doing this. Why it was important for me to continue with this was not because of the, marketing jargon of it being Bilona method.
Mm.
No, it was important because it actually is the right method to use to produce ghee,
Mm.
but also it was helping me empower so many women.
Right.
It helped me give jobs to so many women.
Mm.
Why it was important for me to have a stone grinding. Back in the olden days, you had those jatas. We
Yes.
call them jatas, stone grinding. It was important to have it hand done. Why? Because I could actually give women jobs.
Mm.
Today, all my processes are mostly, except my oils, all our jaggery, our flours, our ghee, all of these things are made by women using their energy, their hand. And I'm so happy and proud that I've been able to actually, empower women. I talk to them today and I feel so proud because they are like, पहले हमारा हस्बैंड हमको पैसा नहीं देता था, बट आज हम अपनी बेटी को पढ़ा सकते हैं कि
Wow.
मैडम आप जॉब दी. It's like, it's something to be proud of, and it's something that I always wanted to do,
Mm.
help women. So we do that. Then also we have some SHG groups which are all women, so we also kind of use them. And yeah, that is why it was very important for me to stay with our traditional method so that I could do both: give nutrition, empower women.
Wonderful. I think that's so well said. You're doing, I mean, both the things, whether it is women empowerment or it is, staying to your roots and then getting good food, clean food. What more do you want in life? But it is very hard when everything, like I said, is going commercial. Everything is going towards profit. It is very, very difficult, very challenging to stick to these principles, to these values. So kudos to you for doing that and continuing to do it. And I can totally understand that feeling of pride that you must be getting out of, giving this empowerment to so many women. Okay.
Thank you.
So, Pallavi, you often speak about food you would trust for your own family, right? So, in an age of greenwashing and labels, how do you build and protect consumer trust? Because, even I, as a consumer, when I go out there to buy organic, I don't know whether I should trust this brand or not. So, how do you do that?
Okay, so here also, Sangeeta, I'll be very, very honest. Now, a lot of people are talking about uh, they are organic. A lot of brands that even came after Adya Organics were selling their products with the organic labels,
Yes,
you
yes.
know. And it was surprising to me because I refused to do something like that. I was told in the beginning of the inception at during the inception time that, ma'am, we can always buy these uh, certifications. And I knew that, whatever I had read and understood, that it takes minimum 3 years to convert,
Hmm.
and then another few months to get the processing, and then, so on and so forth. I refused to take it. So I know we kind of we had to get a lot of backlash at that in the PNL. But I was true to myself. I
Wow.
knew I did not want to do that. This is something I try and tell my consumers in whatever way that I can. And social media is one of the fastest way to,
Yeah.
reach out to your customers. So I try and tell them that you need to really read your labels. You need to really understand what is the brand history, what are the founders like. You need to really get to the depths of it to go ahead and believe what is the food that they're selling. Today, there is so much clutter in the organic industry, in the food industry. You don't have one ghee brand. You
Yes.
have, I don't know, on Amazon only, if you go for a search, there are like 1,000 plus
Absolutely.
sellers for ghee. But
Hmm.
now it is up to the consumer, and it is actually, honestly speaking, it's up to all us honest brands who
Hmm.
are actually honest to give clear, transparent information to their customers, to the consumer. We are consuming a lot of data today. I mean, all we're doing is doom scrolling, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it is up to us of how we pass on the message to our consumer. I tell them transparently, I will grow what we can grow at our farms. I can feed my children that if my children like the taste of it, if it is healthy for them to consume, we will make sure that we sell it in the market. But if it is something where now here again, it's an honest platform. So I will say, I remember in the middle, I was asked to add this something. We have makhana
Hmm.
as a product. There's something called maltodextrin.
Hmm.
I'm sorry if I don't get the pronunciation right, but I knew that it is very harmful because I was reading my labels from much before, to give it to my children. So I knew it is very wrong. It's not healthy for kids to eat. It's highly toxic ingredient to have.
Hmm.
So when we got our makhanas done, we made sure we did not use this particular ingredient. Because I know I'm not going to give it to my kid. Why do I want to sell it, and why do I want other mothers,
Hmm.
even if it is like very like bare minimum number of mothers who are trusting in me? Why would I want them to believe me and then sell that product to, and buy that product and feed it to their children? No, that is against my personal. I mean, it's just against me personally.
So, if
So
that doesn't build the trust of your brand, what else will? Because you're so right. If you, as a mother, you're saying that you will not feed this to your children, so hence you will not
yeah,
supply this, I think this is the biggest testimonial. You don't need
yeah.
anyone to say anything to you. You are actually walking the talk. You are showing this by example. So, which is again like something that you need to be proud of, and we need to applaud you for this. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Just one more thing I'd like to just add here, Sangeeta. Not just I we sell what we do, but I also make sure health begins at home. So my children today, at least my older ones, they know, palm oil is not good for
Yeah.
health. They know added sugars means 50 different kinds of things which are not going to be healthy for us. Today they will make the food taste really good,
Hmm.
but it's not going to be healthy for them in a few years down the line. So
Hmm.
they understand that. They understand that spreads have emulsifiers which are not good for them. So my I also educate my own children,
Hmm.
because I know health begins at home for all of us, for all the mothers.
And I think as mothers, we need to explain this to children because a lot of times, children just get attracted to the good taste, which is very natural because you have taste buds and you will, kind of like things which are tasty. And sometimes we also, through our own, how should I say, reactions and actions, we also pass on that message that this thing is to be eaten because it's tasty. But that's not right.
Yeah,
Something which is not tasty may be much better. And in fact, 9 times out of 10, it is better for your health than something which tastes very good. So I think these things, right from the very beginning, we need to impress upon the children that just don't go by the superficial, how should I say, impression that you get. Just dig deep, understand what it
that
is going to do to you before you actually
you
start consuming it. Wonderful.
rightly said. And organic food, healthy food is tasty. You should go ahead and try our snacks.
Oh, yes, absolutely. All right. All right. So, moving on. So, we've been talking about how you've been providing employment to, a number of women, which obviously, gives empowerment to them and also gives you a sense of satisfaction. But going to another, woman-centric concern. Now, you know that from caregiving to community building, women's work often goes unseen. So, how conscious were you about building a woman led or a woman inclusive workforce at Adya Organics?
Sangeeta, I was very conscious, like I said before.
Yeah.
To stick to my traditional methods, I needed women, and I knew that from the very start.
Hmm.
So it was so important that the women that we got on board were actually not, women who came from good households in villages. They were actually women who didn't have anything, who were just dependent, wife of a drunkard, a
Yeah.
wife for, or an abusive partner, or we actually picked a few women like that.
Hmm.
And that's how this community has grown. They are financially independent, so it was very important to me that women are a part of this community, not just for, because women labor is more hardworking, which we all should know. Women are more hardworking than men are in any field, but because I wanted to make sure they are financially independent.
Yeah.
They are not in places like small villages of Bihar and UP, and Haryana, you still hear of female feticide.
Yes. Yes.
In the past few years, I am so happy to, tell you that we've actually had some women who've turned around and said, "Nahi, ma'am." Actually, they sometimes don't call me ma'am; they call me bhabhi also. So they're like, "Nahi, bhabhi, हम लोग इसको मना किए कि तुम यहाँ आ जाना और फिर तुम अपना पैसा कमा पाओगे,
Wow.
तुम अपनी बेटी को पढ़ा पाओगे." It has been so, it's such a nice feeling that I cannot tell you. So, Sangeeta, it's been truly very important. And I have been conscious from the very start
Hmm. Hmm.
that we loop in and empower as many women as we can. And not just at the higher levels, but
Yes.
at the ground level.
Yes.
I
That
have more women at the ground level today than
that
at the high level.
seen at the grassroots level. So just elaborate a little bit on this, if you could, that what change do you see in these women once they, start becoming financially independent? Of course, they have more money, and like you said, Beti Padhao, all that they do. But what other changes have you seen in them?
Oh, they are confident. They are happy. They are laughing. They are singing. You have to go to my farm. Please do visit my farm. You have to go to my farm and you have to see them. even on a day like this where it's like really foggy and raining, they
Mm.
will be happily singing all church songs and doing their stone grinding, or doing their ghee production, and they'll be singing songs and happy. They will be cracking up with each other. It is so nice. Some women have actually come in looking so sad, and I tell them, I was like, Didi, aap itne sad kyun ho?
हाँ,
So
हाँ,
first they ask me, आप मैम सैड किस चीज को बोल रही हैं? I'm like, नहीं नहीं, आप दुखी क्यों हो? So
हाँ,
they laugh. They're
yes.
like, नहीं मैं sad हूँ
Mm.
क्योंकि, and then when I go see them the next time, they're all chirpy and they'll come and they'll chit chat with me, and I'm like, I am so happy. मैं इतनी खुश हूँ आपको ऐसे देख के. They're like, नहीं अभी मैम मेरे पास पैसा है ना, तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. कोई
Wow.
कुछ नहीं बोलता है.
Yes.
So it's very very nice, and they're not underpaid. They are very nicely paid.
Hmm.
So, and it also, like, we have like schemes for them, and we have all of that, so they do wonderfully well. They
That's
are happy, they're confident, they're pretty women.
commendable because see, you are empowering them in so many different ways. See, money we know makes a difference because it gives you that when you're financially independent, it gives you that freedom of choice in life. You can do what you want. You don't have to be dependent on other people, whether it's your husband, father, brother, whoever. So, by doing this to them, obviously you're building their confidence, you're giving them happiness, you're giving them freedom. And who doesn't want to be free? I think that is really,
Yeah.
really kudos to you, I mean, for doing this. I think more and more of us
Thank you.
should work towards this to make them happy, to make them independent. But tell me,
Yes,
this
we should.
quest where you're making other people happy and you are, like you said, an honest farmer. So where does it take your, the business pressure, the scale, the margins? Don't these things challenge your core values?
So, well, since we are honest farmers, we can't look at very high margins.
Okay. Okay.
So, they don't challenge my core values, because I come from, success for me does not just depend on my P&L today.
Okay.
Success for me is, I'm building a business with integrity.
Hmm.
The soil I know I nurture produces clean food,
Yes. Yes.
you know. So I don't think that I need to really look at creating very heavy margins. I would be very happy to reach out, creating scale, to reach out to as many people as we can, because I know that we are really good and pure brand that we are.
Hmm.
We are clean, we are transparent. And I'm always asking people, please, aap mere farm aiye, you see what we do. You won't see fancy machinery up and all the fanciness that is going on at a lot of places. You'll see human beings actually working, happily working,
Hmm.
not because they're forced to work or because they have to work because they need to earn money. No, they're happily working. It's a happy environment. So please come. And I remember my mom always said, and so did my mom-in-law and all moms that we know,
Hmm.
that जब माँ के हाथ का खाना अलग क्यों होता है?
Hmm.
Why is it tastier?
क्यों होता है?
Because of the love that they put in while cooking it for you.
Wow. Which is
So
so.
similarly, we have clean food. और ये इतनी सारी माएँ कर रही हैं ना,
Oh, yes.
साफ खाना है.
हाँ.
It's food made with love.
Yes, yes, yes. So, yes, this is like a breath of fresh air in today's, like I said, highly, highly commercialized world. Everything is about profit, everything is about margins, everything is about money. So refreshing to, be talking to someone who doesn't think like that. I think you need to speak more about it. More and more people should know what you're doing, not only what you're doing, but how you're doing and why you're doing. Because, after a certain stage in life, see, okay, when you begin, you may not be having enough money to give yourselves a comfortable life. But once you have that, then I think
Yeah,
you need to give back. You need to do something for the community, for the society of which you are a part. Because otherwise, I mean, how many cars and how many ACs and how many homes can you have? Ultimately,
true.
everybody's needs, personal needs are limited. So why not think
Agree.
of doing it for the others? So I think you are like just doing some absolutely wonderful work. So tell me
Thank you.
something. You're welcome. Going by this, whatever we've been talking about, How has your definition of success changed since becoming a mother, a farmer, and a business leader? What does success look like for Pallavi today? Today, you are, how should I say, an amalgamation of all these three roles. You're a mother, you're a farmer, you're leading a business as well. So, what does success mean to you today?
I think, Sagita, I just answered two parts of that question just a little in your
Pe-
last question
People
itself.
who want to know what success should be. Yes.
Success for me earlier, if you had spoken to me about 5 years ago, it was a lot of clutter, it was a lot of chaos because I was myself trying to understand what is success?
Hmm.
How do I want to look at it? Because to all of us, it's different.
Yes.
Do I want to look at it in terms of the profitability in the business? Do I want to look at it in terms of the, my tagline, creating a healthier future? And I'm actually ending up doing that, even if it's to a bare minimum of people. Or do I want to look at it in any other form?
Right.
Then to me now, success is a little quieter.
Hmm.
It's like I said, it's actually knowing that the farm that I nurture is creating and producing clean crop,
Okay.
you know, clean food. We
Hmm.
are able to give real food to the consumers. As a mother, success to me is that my children can freely dream and be healthy. And I know they will be healthy.
Hmm.
And as a business leader, success to me is knowing that I am building something with a lot of integrity. And I am doing something that I promised myself years ago that I will, in some way or the other, empower women at whatever level I am capable of empowering. So today's success is a combination of all these three things for me.
Which is true. I mean, as a mother, yes, it is about doing the best for your children in terms of what you can provide them. As a business leader, like you said, yes, you profit or the margins are not so important. It is the impact, the legacy that you're leaving behind, the difference that you're making to people's worlds and lives. And of course, as a farmer, yes, what people are getting to eat, what you're giving them to eat. I think it all blends in beautifully with your personality because you have certain core principles, certain values, and you're living by them. So all these, in a way, I could say they are, just offshoots of those values. So yeah, that's
Yes,
absolutely
they are.
wonderful. All right. So you are doing so much for women as well. I mean, yes, the food and the empowerment that is there, which is, like I said, very few people would do it. So tell me, for women and especially mothers who feel a calling to build something meaningful, but they hesitate because of fear, responsibility, timing, or whatever, there are various things that always manage to hold women back. What would you like to tell them?
I would like to tell all the women and all the mothers to trust their gut,
Wow.
to not want to be perfect, to be powerful, to
Yes.
lead with dignity. And that I built this between school runs and sleepless nights, and being a mother of three, it is all a part of
Yes.
motherhood, and sometimes even doctor runs. I built this because I honestly had someone really, really trust in me.
Mm.
He really, really backed me and still trusts in me to be able to, he knows that I'll make this brand, his dream, come true. So I just want to tell the women, trust your gut, lead with integrity, and do not look for perfection to be powerful.
Wonderful. That is so true because I think a lot of women are, first of all, not listening to themselves because you're listening to other people, all the other chatter, all the other noise in your life, you're listening to that. Then, of course, you're also trying to be perfect. You're doing, see, because when you are a mother, you are like doing so many things, wearing so many hats that you are constantly juggling. And
Yeah.
you're trying to perfectly juggle, which cannot be possible. So I think we need to start understanding that. And of course, at the end of it, you do need support. You do need somebody who believes in you, who trusts you, and that itself gives you a lot of confidence, right? So I
Yes.
guess
Yes, it
that's
does.
how it should be. So, Pallavi,
Yes.
while we've come to the end of the conversation, we still have the rapid fire round, which is 5 quick questions, 5 quick answers. Are you ready for it? All right.
Ready.
Simple.
Do I need to tap a button, buzz something?
Nothing. Just come out with the first thing that comes to your head. All right.
Okay.
The first one. One myth about organic food or farming that you are tired of hearing.
Organic food is expensive.
Yes, that's very, very true. All right. The next one.
Yeah.
If your children had to describe you in 3 words, what do you think they'd say?
Chilled out.
Hmm.
Sorry, I'd repeat. She's low-key chilled out.
All right. Okay.
She's fun-loving.
She's
Fun-loving.
fun-loving. All right. All right. So low-key, chilled,
And always,
fun-loving, and
yeah. And always has our back.
wonderful. Wonderful. That's so good to know. All right. The next one is very simple. Your go-to comfort food after a hectic day.
Gajar ka halwa
All right.
in
Okay.
winter.
Yes, even I love it.
Yeah.
The next one. The hardest thing about being taken seriously as a woman in agriculture.
The lack of knowledge
Okay.
initially that I had to face. Yes.
All right. And a daily ritual you never skip, no matter how busy your life gets.
Oh, you want me to tell you work-wise or home or how?
I think home, I mean, generally after work or something like that. Something that you do every day.
I never skip praying to Shivji. I
Oh,
never ever skip that.
all right. Okay, that's lovely. So, Pallavi, what should I say? Such a how empowering, enlightening, and a very, very refreshing conversation. We covered different aspects, but one thing which came out to me or came out of the conversation was that you're not an honest farmer, you're an honest human being. You
Thank you.
have certain beliefs, certain values, no matter where you pick them up from, but you have stuck to them, you're continuing to stick to them, and you want to continue doing that, which I think in today's day and age is something very few people even want to do. Forget making an attempt, they would not even want to do it. So I think kudos to you. Lots of applause, and I think we must appreciate what you're doing. And I'm so glad that we're having this conversation because I really want more and more people to know about the work that you're doing. I want to be able to spread this word. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta. Thank you so much. It's been an honor.
Thank you for tuning in to the About Her show. If you enjoyed this episode, there's plenty more from where that came from. Our previous guests have shared some amazing stories, so be sure to catch up on past episodes. To keep up with our inspiring conversations and to never miss an update, hit subscribe, rate, review, and share the love. Follow us on social media for some great content, and don't forget to check out our website www.aboutherbysangeeta.com for stories that resonate, inspire, and empower. Know a remarkable woman or an inspiring man blazing a trail? We'd love to hear from you. Drop us a note at web.abouther@gmail.com and let's bring their story to life on the About Her show.